History remembers kings. It remembers conquerors. But it often forgets the women who fought just as fiercely, who bled for crowns they were never allowed to wear. Today, we uncovering the story of a woman who came closer to ruling England in her own right than any before her, a forgotten queen who nearly claimed the throne centuries before Elizabeth I. Her name was Empress Matilda. Born in 1102, Matilda was the beloved daughter of King Henry I of England. From a young age, her life was destined for greatness. She wasn't just another princess waiting for a suitor. At just 8 years old, she was betrothed to the Holy Roman Emperor, one of the most powerful men in Europe. She journeyed across the continent, learned new languages, and embraced a world of high-stakes politics. By the time she was a teenager, she was crowned empress, a title that gave her incredible prestige, authority, and an education in statecraft that no other woman of her time could match. She learned how to rule, not just how to be a wife. But her true destiny, and her greatest battle, lay back home in England. Everything changed in the year 1120. A single night of tragedy altered the course of English history forever. Matilda's only legitimate brother, William Adelin, the heir to the throne, boarded a vessel called the White Ship. In a horrifying accident, the ship struck a rock and sank, taking the future king and hundreds of young nobles with it. King Henry I was left devastated and, more importantly, without a male heir. In a move that was nothing short of revolutionary for the 12th century, Henry did the unthinkable. He summoned his daughter, the widowed Empress Matilda, back to England. He declared her his rightful successor and forced every powerful baron, every bishop, and every lord in the kingdom to swear a solemn oath, promising to support her claim to the throne when he died. They swore. They promised. And then, they lied. When King Henry I died in 1135, the oaths of loyalty turned to dust. The ink was barely dry on his will when Matilda's own cousin, Stephen of Blois, raced across the English Channel and seized the throne. His justification was simple and brutal: England could not, and would not, be ruled by a woman. The nobles who had sworn allegiance to Matilda quickly abandoned her, rallying behind a male claimant. But they had severely underestimated the Empress. She was not a woman who would simply step aside. She was her father's daughter, an empress in her own right, and she believed the crown was hers by blood and by law. Matilda refused to surrender her birthright. And so began one of the darkest and most brutal chapters in English history, a devastating civil war known as the Anarchy. For nearly 20 years, England burned. The Anarchy wasn't just a distant political struggle, it was chaos that tore the country apart. Fields were left unplanted, villages were raided, and castles became battlegrounds. Brother fought against brother, and the land bled. At the very center of this storm of fire and steel stood Empress Matilda. She was no damsel in distress waiting to be rescued. She was a general. She crossed the Channel with a small force, raised armies, and masterminded military campaigns. She forged alliances with powerful lords, captured strategic fortresses, and proved to be every bit her cousin's equal on the battlefield. Her finest hour came in 1141 at the Battle of Lincoln. Her forces achieved a stunning victory, not only defeating Stephen's army but capturing King Stephen himself. He was her prisoner, chained and humbled. With the king in her custody, the path to the throne was finally clear. Matilda marched toward London, the capital, ready to claim her crown. She was proclaimed Lady of the English, the recognized, legitimate ruler of the realm. Her coronation was planned, the ceremony was prepared, and for one brief, shining moment, she stood on the very edge of total victory. But history, and the deep-seated prejudices of the age, intervened. The people of London, wary of her reputation for being proud and fearful of continued instability, turned against her. A violent rebellion erupted just days before she was to be crowned. Matilda was forced to flee for her life, escaping the city in disguise, enduring a harrowing journey through enemy territory and across frozen rivers. The crown, so close she could almost touch it, was lost. But Matilda was a fighter. Losing London did not mean losing the war. She continued her campaign for years, a relentless force that refused to be broken. The conflict raged on until both sides were utterly exhausted, and England could take no more. Finally, a compromise was reached. The Treaty of Wallingford was a bittersweet victory for Matilda. Stephen would remain king for the rest of his life, but his own son would be disinherited. Instead, Matilda's son, Henry, would be named as Stephen's official heir. And so he was. Upon Stephen's death, her son became King Henry II, the founder of the mighty Plantagenet dynasty that would rule England for over 300 years. Empress Matilda never wore the English crown. She retired from the political stage and spent her final years ruling Normandy, respected as a wise and capable leader. Yet, her legacy is written all over English history. She reshaped the kingdom, not with a crown, but with her unbreakable will. She proved that a woman could command armies, outmaneuver kings, and fight for power in a world designed to deny her. She laid the foundation for one of England's greatest royal houses, ensuring her bloodline would rule for centuries. Her story is a powerful reminder that history is full of forgotten queens who were just as formidable as any king. Thanks for watching. If you want to uncover more lost stories from the map of history, make sure to like and subscribe.